Today, we're diving into an incredible story of genius, fame, and complete financial ruin. We're talking about a man who was an absolute superstar in his time, but ended up with nothing. We're talking about Rembrandt.
It's a really interesting question, isn't it? It gets you thinking about that strange, powerful link between suffering and creativity. And honestly, it's the perfect way to look at the unbelievable life of Rembrandt. That's the whole story in a nutshell. Long before the idea of the starving artist became a thing, Rembrandt was living this wild paradox. He was a household name, a true celebrity all across Europe, who would die flat broke. So, first things first, we have to get our heads around just how famous this guy was. If you're picturing a quiet painter struggling in some dusty old attic, just throw that image right out. That was not Rembrandt's life. Not at the start anyway.
Yeah, this is where that whole myth just gets shattered. Rembrandt was the opposite of a starving artist. He was completely in demand. I mean, rich patrons were literally lining up to have him paint for them. And his fame wasn't just in his hometown. His paintings, and especially his prints, made him a star across the entire continent. He was a 17th century A-lister, no question.
And you know, that kind of fame, it gives you some serious confidence. He did something very few artists would even dare to do. This wasn't just him being arrogant. It was a power move. You didn't need his last name. You knew who Rembrandt was. Signing with just your first name put you in an elite club, right up there with the giants of the Renaissance. He knew he was good, and believe me, everybody else did too.
And get this, even his most famous painting, The Night Watch, has this amazing twist that just goes to show you his legacy. For centuries, layers of grime and dark old varnish made everyone think it was a night scene. That's how it got the name. But in reality, he painted a busy, light-filled daytime scene. The fact that we still are just blown away by it, even under a totally false name, just shows you how powerful his work really is.
So, what was the secret sauce? What made him such a superstar? Well, it wasn't just raw talent. It was about innovation. Rembrandt wasn't just following the rules of art. He was rewriting them.
Okay, at the very heart of his genius was this technique right here, chiaroscuro. It's an Italian term, basically means light-dark. Now, other artists were using it, sure, but Rembrandt, he took it to a whole other level. He turned it into a psychological weapon.
You see, for Rembrandt, light wasn't just there to let you see things. It was a spotlight, pointed straight at the most important part of the story, straight at the soul. And the shadows? Oh, the shadows were where he hid all the mystery, the secrets, the deep emotions people don't talk about. He wasn't just painting what people looked like. He was painting what they felt like.
But his rule-breaking didn't stop there. Back then, the art world was all about perfect, idealized beauty. Rembrandt? He just wasn't interested. He painted real, actual people, with all their imperfections, the wrinkles, the tired eyes, the messy, genuine emotions. He found beauty in what was real. And then, as a master printmaker, he took that vision and made it so his work could be owned and admired by people all over Europe. So, let's recap. Fame, money, a revolutionary talent. By every single measure, he had made it. He was completely untouchable.
Because in his art, and as it turned out, in his life, the light never lasts forever. And for Rembrandt, the shadows were coming for him fast. And this is where the story takes a really dark turn. The second half of Rembrandt's life, it honestly reads like a Greek tragedy. The man who mastered painting shadows on a canvas was about to be swallowed by them in his real life.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's relentless. He loses his wife, Saskia, whom he adored. He loses 3 of his children when they're just babies. And on top of all that unbelievable grief, his finances completely collapse. A lavish lifestyle and some bad decisions led to bankruptcy. He had to sell everything, his house, his incredible art collection. He died with almost nothing, having outlived pretty much everyone he loved. But, and this is the most fascinating part of his entire story, it's right here, in this absolute darkness, this period of failure and loss, that Rembrandt creates his deepest, most powerful, and most lasting work. At the time, people didn't really get it. His later paintings were rougher, more thoughtful, not as polished and flashy. A lot of critics saw it as a decline. But now, we see it for what it truly is. This is the work of a master who has nothing left to prove, who is painting with a raw honesty that's just breathtaking. This is where his real legacy was born. When you look at his later paintings, you don't just see a person. You feel their life story. You feel the weight of it all, the sadness, but also the strength. It's the kind of wisdom you only get from a man who has lost everything, except his gift. And if you really want to see that whole journey, the whole story of his life from beginning to end,
You just have to look at one subject you came back to, over and over again, more than 80 times.
He painted himself more than any other artist from that time. He created this incredible visual diary of his own life. You can watch him change from this cocky, ambitious young man into this weary, heartbroken, but incredibly wise old master. His self-portraits might be his single greatest masterpiece.
So it really leaves you with this one big question. Rembrandt's life makes you wonder, what really makes an artist great? Is it the fame and the money they get when they're on top of the world? Or is it the profound humanity they manage to find and show us when they're deep in the shadows?